Hello, Tasties. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast. Okay, wait. As always, I'm your host, Andre, here with another episode for you. And I'm joined for the first time ever, not with just one co-host, but two. And they've been on the podcast before. Give it up for Miss Bev with the new podcast, Talking Trash TV.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be back.
And now you're back with the new podcast. I'm just like, so excited. As well as the lovely M with the podcast TakeitFrum.
Hi, my loves. Welcome back.
I'm so excited. We have such a good episode to talk about. Obviously, y'all have been on the past seasons, but is there anything new that y'all want to share?
Well, as you guys know, my podcast has come out, and some of what I think we dive into today kind of segues into what I talk about on my podcast on a daily basis. So tune in to Talking Trash TV and you'll hear more about it.
Exactly. Definitely hit that subscribe button. Follow her podcast as well as TakeitFrum.
Yes, follow, subscribe, do all the good things. And like I always say, you guys, do it so that I can get out of my fucking 9 to 5, okay?
Amen. And if you're wanting to start a podcast, we've got the little training class coming out here pretty soon.
I'm so excited for that.
So excited for your training classes.
Like, not just for like everyone else. I think you guys don't realize how much of a resource Honor has been for our podcast, just starting it, what we need to do. So, like, you guys are in great hands once you decide to actually
join.
And honestly, that also kind of plays into the topic that we're talking about today, just within the whole, nepotism.
Ooh, nappy.
Nappy babies.
There's a lot of them. There are.
1,000%. Not one of them, but...
I wish I could say the same, but as in, like, not a nappy baby.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think with the whole nepotism, it's like, if you got it, great, but it's, if you don't, you really feel the weight of not.
1,000%. But I will say I do respect the Nepo babies that take advantage of the fact, because there's a lot of them that are, and they don't do crap like that.
Also, not just take advantage, but acknowledge.
I was just going to say, because you can take advantage of it in a good way, and you can take advantage of it in a bad way.
It's 1,000%.
Are there some examples of people that have taken advantage of it in a bad way?
You know what? It's so crazy. Not off the top of my head, only because I don't like to pay attention to them.
Amen to that.
I'm like, you do you. Clearly you are. And not acknowledging it. But I'm going to do me and continue fixing it.
Can't keep paying them any mind because they're already getting paid enough.
Exactly. Seriously.
But let's roll in this intro, and when we get back, we're going to get into the topic. Okay, so let's talk about it, because there's nepotism. First off, I didn't even know what that word meant until, honestly, very recently.
How would you know when you can't relate?
Oh,
so true. Actually, I feel like our glasses are going to do a whole glare thing, so I'm just going to take mine off and knock that one out.
I'm like, the way the sun was just beaming on my eyes earlier, so I took my off anyway.
It's the way that I'm going to be very blind. I'm like, who am I talking with?
Right. Just listen to the sun.
I hear you.
It's crazy because I think, first off, let's talk about, for those of you that don't know what nepotism is, it is pretty much...
It's pretty much...
We still don't know.
Our understanding of nepotism is pretty much people who grow...
No, people that don't necessarily have to do much to get into a higher position because their parents essentially are already in that higher position.
Like the Kardashians and Nicole Richie.
Kendall Jenner being a model, and she doesn't look but anyone like I've seen. Just
or another word for privilege. When you're, and it doesn't even have to be your parents. It could be someone who looks after you, whatever it may be,
Right.
is in a higher position of wealth or power, whatever it may be, and they are able to put you into a position so that you can then get there, or put you directly into that position. I don't want to say it's quite sickening because I'd be a hypocrite to say that that's not something that I would like to do for my family or my siblings.
Yeah, that's like the biggest. I think that's where I have the most conflict with. Is if I had it, then I would definitely be doing that same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think we're going to talk about this a little bit as well on the episode, just about how within the Black community, it's a little bit harder to acknowledge, not even acknowledge, but for nepotism to be a thing, because it's like, well, I struggled, so you kind of have to struggle too.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's just within the minority community, it's very like, one, very like frowned upon if you're taking quote unquote handouts for someone.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
we're very prideful, and I'm like, bitch, I'm putting my motherfucking pride aside because I don't want to work a 9 to 5, and the quickest way to get there, give it to me.
I would take all the help. Yes, all the help, sponsors. I mean, financially, if you want to help.
I'm like, I'm not above it, but I'm definitely below it. So
yes,
get above it.
exactly.
And it's kind of insane. Have y'all ever like experienced any form of nepotism or like, I guess, been in that position?
I would say that we actually have a family member. I don't know if you know about this, Bev, but yeah, some little family goss. But apparently, my aunt's husband, I won't say which one, I'll leave you guys guessing. My aunt's husband, who hasn't worked for years, got a job within the government, and that's because his wife knew someone. I don't even want to go into how she knew them within the government itself, and he was able to get like a higher position.
Nice.
And I'm like,
his wife be your aunt?
yeah, and I say that in a disconnecting way because we still have a little bit of beef. So.
Oh, gotcha.
But you know, I think I'm glad that now he was able to find like a better paying job. But like, is he really qualified for it? I think that's also the biggest thing. Is sometimes the people that are put in those positions from nepotism may not be the most qualified for.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's funny. I was having a conversation with my dad. Shout out to him. And he was saying how like my aunt, his aunt, was when they worked together. She was like in a very like high position within the company, and she was pretty much trying to help him out, but he wouldn't accept it. And they had that talk of, she was like, you and your cousin really just, y'all are too prideful. Y'all don't like, people are trying to constantly help you out, and you're not accepting that. And that was years ago, and it's not until today that he's realizing like, if you take that help, he probably would have been where he wanted to be.
Faster.
And I don't know if it's like, I don't want to say slave mentality.
No, I was just about to say that because it's like almost like when the plantation owners, yikes, would be like, you got to work to get to. Oh no! Juneteenth is coming up, you guys.
I
know. But no, like that slave mentality of like you kind of have to work to get to either more food or get a spot in the house, some shit like that. And it's like we still kind of have that going forward, and it sucks. It sucks so much that we aren't able to provide that for the children or anyone that we know, because it's like, well, we gotta eat first. I gotta eat first before I can eat.
And growing up, like, well, do you have anything to tell me on that?
Funny you were gonna say growing up. I think that we all experienced this starting at a very, very, very young age with school. Like, let's say high school. Like I went to really nice, prestigious school, but my parents, there were 6 of us. We didn't all get a car by the time we all turned 16. But you could tell that like there was a difference at school with kids that came up with a brand new Jeep or a really nice car, and our parents just kind of got us that starter car, and you know what I mean. And it's just like you could see like throughout the year, freshman, sophomore, senior, you're like, oh wow, you get nicer stuff. It's like, but they just get it handed. They didn't even work hard for it.
Yeah,
we work hard. Our parents tell us get good grades, then we'll maybe split and get and we'll split in half the car value, but some of these Nepo babies, their parents are completely buying the entire car for them, putting deposits on houses even now. I'm experiencing as a wife. Very thankful to be married, but I'm also saying that I'm like, wow, it's a lot of people in my age. I'm like, how are you guys already buying houses and putting deposits? I'm like, you guys completely could have saved, but I also think that there's some in-between truth of like, there's nepotism. I know mom and dad probably put down that deposit for the house. So
I think
can
also,
we be fair, it started younger?
It does. And I think in a way, I think that's why I say I'm so conflicted with it, because I think it definitely builds character.
Yes.
Like the hard work, like mentality that you really go into adulthood with is so strong compared to people that necessarily are Nepo babies. They don't know the value of the dollar. They don't know the value of what hard work looks like, and so they kind of just throw it away. And those are the ones I feel like don't acknowledge it.
I think that's interesting because
Counteract that? Are you gonna be devil's advocate?
Always.
Let's
well,
hear that.
I think it goes back to what I was saying, where like you can use your nepotism, like you can acknowledge and use it for good, or you could be really bad.
Yeah. How do you know that's
And-
used it for good? Since you asked us who's used it for bad.
Well, no, that's what I was going to say. It's like
Right.
looking inwards
Right.
within my
Mhm.
family.
Mm-hmm.
It's like obviously me being the oldest outside of my little half brother. I was very spoiled as a child.
Right.
Like I was the first boy. I was very spoiled not only within like my immediate family, but like within everybody else.
Right.
My mom had a really good job when we lived in Chicago. My dad had a good job as well. But it was like I would get things, but it wasn't right when I wanted them.
Right.
Okay.
And then the older I got, we moved here. Yada yada. My mom got a better job. Yada yada. I was one of the kids that I got my first car at 16.
Are you the only one?
Well, we're all 6 years apart. My sister hasn't turned 16 yet.
Well, no, as in like within your friend group is what you're saying.
Mm-mm.
Oh, so what you're saying that you
Like within my, like for my personal experience,
Yeah.
like I've acknowledged that I was privileged,
Right.
and that there were things like I could do. Like my parents didn't want me to work. I wanted to work so that I could understand the value of a dollar.
Right.
But then when I look at my little sister, who now my parents are doing better, bigger and better things, so she doesn't have to strive as hard and do as much. She didn't have to get on her Zoom every day. She lives a totally different life. And it's like I don't understand that for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, like, girl, you got a whole gold Amex card? And
Excuse you? Wow. Excuse me?
yes.
Guys, I mean,
yes.
that's insane.
And she's not even, like, she didn't even have a permit. Like, she's 15.
Mm.
But it's like, I still do a lot so that she can, experience
Yeah.
life and do things. I told her I'd buy her first car at 16. We already talked about that. Yeah. But it's like, the nepotism works differently for both me and her because she doesn't understand.
Right.
She's like, oh, put it on this. And I'm like, ooh.
I agree with that. I feel like I experienced that. I feel like as an older, we have 6 kids in our family. I feel like the young 3 experienced the Nepo part because they got handed brand new cars as soon as they graduated.
Wait a minute.
But we, as older sisters, the first 3, we got the hand-me-downs in the beginning. We had to drive them to school and into the hand-me-downs. Like, it wasn't the best quality car. Eventually, we got it,
Yeah.
but it took me to buy my own vehicle for me to get that. It was, but also it was kind of nice to see. It was also kind of nice to see, though. I was like, well, then that's awesome. It looks like my parents are doing better. The fact that my sister Meryl was able to get a car on her graduation, I understand that didn't happen to me, Cindy or Prisha, but
I think that we kind of, and just to kind of counteract that, I think we definitely lived a different version of life. And we were all living the same life, but we all had different, what is it called? Yeah, I guess, versions, you would say. Because if we want to go back to that time, homegirl over here wanted to do cheerleading. All the things that I did were very inexpensive. Cheerleading cost about, I would say, a good $5,000, which could have been used for a car. And so I say you had your version of privilege, but it was in what you wanted to do. I told my parents, our parents, that I wanted to get a car. So by the time it was time for me to graduate, they already had that, okay, we haven't spent money on her when it came to like sports, when it came to schooling. So of course we're gonna get her a car.
It's interesting because I was like the opposite of that as well.
Oh.
Like I wanted to do sports, but because the school that I went to was so far away from like where I lived,
Right.
my parents were like, they would complain every time, so I just didn't do them.
Right.
I mean, I was still very involved in school, but my little sister, on the other hand, I mean, that girl, my parents are in a different state, different city every weekend.
Yeah, they are.
Um,
You're like, they're in Nashville, like, I don't know, a couple months
Yeah.
ago, and I was like, Nashville?
like Nashville, New Orleans, and like my sister's volleyball is $6,500 a year.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I was like, as much as she, and I was like, and I have a lot to say about what Merle just said with my cheerleading, because I was like, it definitely did not cost $5,000. And I worked 3 jobs in high school because why? My parents told me, if you want to do cheer, you're gonna have to pay for it. So understand that, but also don't completely understand it, because I worked 3 jobs from sophomore year till senior year. I mean, and it was a lot, but I wanted what I wanted, and it happens. I think it's just gonna happen that way. Generations, our parents are gonna do better. It's always gonna be that way. I mean, let's be honest. Even after my mom started working in Georgia, I mean, guys were able to stay the night in the house starting, and that was a very
No. I'm gonna stop you right there. Guys were not able to stay the night. I did not have any guys stay the night. I actually got fucking slut shamed from my father because I had a guy over past midnight, and he was gonna be heading home very soon. But I want to say maybe girls were able to spend the night because of my brother. So if I don't even want to get into that because I feel like it's gonna be a different topic.
I was like, so moving.
Yeah, right. Moving forward.
I'm like, the true Nepo babies listening to this, and they're like,
What are they
oh, why is this a related topic?
Literally.
But we're gonna take a quick break, then we'll come back and let's talk about nepotism and our world, or not even our world because that's what we've been talking about, but nepotism and how it kind of applies, like how it affects us.
Yeah, and I have some great examples. So stay tuned.
And we're back. Hopefully, y'all are drunk enough to subscribe to the podcast.
Not drunk enough. Maybe not going against your will. You know, consent is sexy,
Consent is sexy. Not me literally talking about sobriety on the podcast, and I'm like drunk.
Right.
Literally. No, but make sure to hit that subscribe button to this podcast and the 2 other lovely podcasts that I have with me, TakeitFrum, as well as Talking Trash TV.
Yay.
Tasties, we share the love, we share the wealth, and they share the knowledge.
I love that.
Oh my gosh.
Is that your new slogan?
No, literally.
We're doing some rebranding here.
No, like, haven't you done enough?
Right.
But let's get back into it. Nepotism.
Yeah.
Bop or flop?
Depending on how you take advantage of it, could be a flop or a flop, I think.
Is there like anything in between?
The word.
So yeah, just like how I just said it, not even taking advantage of it, but also like helping other people. If you're able to use your nepotism to like, you know,
For good.
yes, be an like outreach program or helping other people that don't have the ability and bringing them up as well.
Charities, donating not just money but your time.
Yeah. Because money you can get back, time you cannot. So I
Right.
feel like when I see people actually like taking time out of their day to do things, it means so much more than, I mean, obviously, if you're gonna drop a couple stacks, give it to me.
Please.
But
We're not opposed to
I'm
that.
not gonna say no, but if you want to hand deliver those stacks to me as well.
I'm actually zero.
But so let's talk about, because nepotism isn't just like, oh, I'm at a job and my cousin, you know, was able to give me this position here or whatever.
Right.
Nepotism is also like, it's such a broad topic.
Yeah, I think in a way I kind of have a little bit of an example. I have this girl I went to high school with, and She was pretty popular, I would like to say, and she started her. I mean, she's pretty, you know. So when she went on TikTok, she kind of almost like blew up because of, you know, she's visibly, you know, like the what is it, the
Visibly attractive.
well, yeah, the standard.
Yeah.
And so she goes to her family and all this other stuff people could relate. Then, of course, she decided she wanted to start a podcast. And in a way, this is when I was first starting mine, I kind of felt like, damn, like she's already,
Like some type of way.
she already has an advantage. And some of the stuff that she posts on her TikTok, I don't necessarily think is very true. But of course, everyone has their own experience in how they lived life, in their own way. But when she said she was starting her podcast, I was like, damn, that's like I'm gonna be here like with, at the time I had like measly 20 followers, which not measly. Anyone that's following at this point is like, thank you. But I felt like I was already at a disadvantage. And so at that time, it kind of dawned on me that, wow, like other people really may have more of an advantage based off of a certain platform that they've already grown.
Mm-hmm.
And we experienced that as well at the Podcasters event in Dallas that we went to, Honor and I.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There'd be people that are like, first off, just the fact of like people being able to have connections to people already.
Yeah.
Off the bat.
Yeah.
It's like, easily, if you put someone, if I put Beyonce on my podcast right now,
Right.
it's gonna blow up. They're gonna be like, I don't know who the fuck Honor is, but I know who Beyonce is.
Right.
And like that one episode is gonna blow up.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And so there was actually someone in particular who we have met, and they had like celebrities on the podcast and whatnot, and I'm like, damn, I mean the podcast still isn't, it's not the top podcast, but
Which one?
well, I'm not gonna give them names.
No, I know.
He's like,
Yeah, but I guess that's the biggest thing because it's like also at that event there are people that already had a following of thousands of people,
Yeah.
and they were at that event specifically for podcasters, and they hadn't even started their podcast.
Yeah.
Dang.
Even like, again, not to name names or anything, but you know, there's cast members from not Selling Sunset. Well, even Selling Sunset, it's like there's people, they're doing their interviews and everything, they're starting their podcast, Christine started her podcast and whatnot.
I
It's
did
like,
see that.
you literally like, people who literally were nothing before the show.
Yeah.
Now they're on this show, boom, you instantly blow up. And now it's like you're wanting to start other things, which I get it, like build your empire. And
Exactly.
all
Yeah, I
that.
can't fault them for taking advantage and running with it.
Yeah.
1,000%.
But it's
I would
like,
do the same.
Yeah, but it's like when you already have that, what is the word that I'm looking for? That when you're already up there.
Yeah.
it's
You
like,
have
man,
that help already.
Yeah, exactly. Easy help. I think that's the main thing of it is it's easy help. Like
Yeah.
I'm all for, you know, building your way up.
Right.
Or okay, like I started from TikTok,
Yeah.
I gained my followers, I posted, you know, I was on my Zoom 3 times a day, yada yada yada. And now from here I'm going to there. That's what I want to do.
So are we feeling
I would
jealous in the sense that because Nepo kids have that? Are we jealous, or are we feeling like not jealousy, just more of like
I would say in a way I kind of also feel bad for them because they are so like they're seen in such a spotlight to where one bad thing on an episode and their views for the podcast would be going down. Versus us, it's like I'm not saying that we're not known, but we do like to keep a separate. This is my life. This is my podcast, and I can do whatever I decide to do on the side. If I get faulted for it, at least it's not going to affect the podcast.
That's how I'm now though.
Yes, but I still feel like there's going to be a separation of my life and the podcast, and I try to put as much of my life in my podcast as possible. But still, like, you know, when you have such a big following and you're being looked over and gawked over on, you know, like episodes that are airing for these reality TV shows, one bad thing, and you know, there you have it.
Yeah, but I also feel like even with cancel culture, it's like you get canceled.
Right.
It's like, okay, like this person spotted doing this, we're canceling them. It's like, okay, like they've lost a couple thousand followers, maybe 1 million followers.
Yeah, lay
That's
low
not
for a
gonna-
little bit. And
Yeah, they lay low. Like, it was all just a rumor, paid them off or some shit like that. And it's like, they have the capability or the ability to be able to do that, whereas people like us, we don't have that.
That's
And I
true.
think, I don't want to say that I'm jealous, quote unquote. I think it's more so just like,
you recognize
I
that.
recognize it, and I'm like, in a way, it's not really fair.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we know how hard it is to start a podcast up.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And like I said, training class, like that is the nepotism for the people that are, wanting to start their podcast. If they take the training class, you are literally getting all of the information that you need right there. You don't have to go searching for the hours that we had to do.
True.
Whereas the people who are already up there, it's like, okay, if I want to start a podcast, a YouTube channel, yada, 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 I got a whole crew of people that are going to do that for me already.
Yeah.
They're not having to do the groundwork of editing everything. Of shit. Just the editing alone, I'm like, goddamn. Scheduling anything out, it's like, okay, they don't have to start from zero because before they even release the episode, it's already at 2,000 followers.
No, I know what you're saying. Like, they don't even have any recordings, but they have like videos and previews of, I guess, something that they recorded, but we've not heard one thing.
Nothing.
Here's what I'm also gonna say is like, I can never fault Nepotism for taking advantage. I do appreciate the ones to take advantage in the best way possible, like with charities and giving their time. Great, but let me kind of flip it into where it's like, yes, I do think it's. I don't want to say it's not fair because it's like I can't help if my kids end up having a whole different life than we did because we got a better life.
Yeah.
It almost to me is just like the movie The Incredibles, how Dash is like, please let me freaking run, and the parents are like, you can't because you're a Nepo, you run fast already. We know you're gonna win.
Yeah.
Should those parents say, no, Kylie, no, Kendall, I'm not gonna introduce you to this director because I know, because why? Because I feel like that's not fair. We can't say it's not fair. It's like, well, no, it's just they were. Unfortunately, it's a different life. Yes, they have those people. We can't say it's not fair because it's like, well, they were born into it.
They weren't.
I
mean, to a degree, it still isn't fair, but it's
to some, yes.
I think the biggest thing about nepotism or Nepo babies itself is we're not saying that we want it to stop. It's not going to stop. You can't help it from stopping.
You can't.
But it's more so acknowledging when it's happening, and the Nepo babies themselves acknowledging that it's happening and that they do have a certain advantage over other people.
That makes a lot of sense.
That is the biggest issue of it all.
acknowledging the work.
Exactly. Because I will definitely, if I decide to have kids, I will definitely let them know, like, hey, if I can help them, like, hey, there's a position in this company, I know this person, let's see if we can get them an interview, or get you an interview. But when I see that they are ready for it, and, of course, kind of embarrass the family, but I would do the exact same thing, but I would also say, acknowledge that this is a privilege and not something to take lightly.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of it.
I think that's really just the main thing, is being aware of, which obviously, there's no way that they're not aware, but just being aware of it, because obviously, when I have kids, I want my kids to be able to, I want to be able to pass things down.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't want to just be like, oh, because I know this person and yada, get them a job. You're still going to have to work for it. You're still going to have to put in the groundwork, because there's people out there that don't understand what it takes.
Yeah, and I think as well, if you kind of go back to, let's say, for example, Kendall Jenner, right? How she was like, no, it wasn't from nepotism that I became a model. She was actually removed my last name. It's like, your last name means, it has some weight to it, but when they see you,
Your dad was an Olympic athlete.
they see you, they know you as Kendall Jenner.
Yeah.
Removing your last name will do nothing.
Yeah.
And you are still able to be put in certain rooms that most people do not have the privilege of being in.
Isn't that the same girl that said that she likes to pick and choose where it is that she's gonna model?
Exactly.
The one that also said that she has extreme anxiety, but flies almost every single second of the day. Someone with anxiety, like my husband, he's scared to fly. It's a bunch of things. It's anxiety, booking your ticket to going to the airport and having to meet and talk to. I think she just wants to seem relatable.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Right.
also, like, she was the same one that when she was young and her sister Kim wanted to show her the ropes, she was not taking it seriously. When there are people out there that
episode
from
was
young
yes.
are putting themselves, okay, I gotta think of my mindset of this as a model. How do I get into a specific room so I can like be able to walk at least so that I can show my potential?
Well, and to that, to be honest with you, like Kendall, what I saw too, Kim saw Kendall as the model. Kendall didn't say, I want to be a model. I think she did say, but she wasn't taking it as serious. It was Kim that said, I'm going to book things because you're not realizing that the potential you have, you're kind of being like silly about it. Like you could be big with this. There's a difference. Our parents, we have to tell them, I want to be a doctor. They tell me where other Nepo kids, they're just given, like the parents see it and they're like, here, I'm going to make you be in the business. I'm going to make you, because they're like, I already see it. Our parents, it's almost like we had to like figure out what we wanted.
So you're saying
ask them.
because you're saying the way it's still like you take pity because they are forced into those things without even realizing like what they actually want.
Yeah, I think sometimes they don't realize because she did say she's gonna be a model, but let's say Kim didn't do in that episode the way she did and invested Kendall and said, Kendall, you gotta take it seriously. Would Kendall be where she's at? Would she have continued this modeling career? Who knows?
You got their brother, Rob, isn't that his name?
Where's he?
And look exactly where he took his nepotism at.
Exactly.
That's true. That's a good point.
So.
What is it? I mean, it may be the or.
Yeah,
Not
we're falling into the order.
I mean, like, I'm all for nepotism. I'm all for it not being a thing. I think for me, it's just, and maybe, like I said, it might just be the slave mentality of, like, work.
Yeah.
Work and understand.
Some people are just afraid to work, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just
Ultimately, and let me, because I don't want to get on here and people are like, oh, well, who the fuck is this guy?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that the people who are nepotism babies do not work. Because clearly, like, you have to work some way, shape, or form to get where you're at.
Exactly.
Or to sustain where you're at. Because that's a whole other thing. Is, yeah, you can be CEO of the damn company, but when the company tanks, that's still on you.
Yeah. They just don't have to work as hard
to get there.
That's it. We're not saying you're not working. You just don't have to work as hard
Yeah.
as all of us who have to start from the very bottom.
Yeah.
Very bottom. And look, I think that y'all can be honest and acknowledge that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So, I mean, I think that's a really good closing right there. I'm like, so we're going with the or.
We're pulling that or.
But we definitely want to hear what y'all think about nepotism.
Yes.
Leave it in the comments down below. Make sure to leave a review as well.
Absolutely.
Don't text me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Love
I
text,
love
but-
seeing the texts. I'm not getting good morning texts from anybody.
That part.
But please leave it in the review section.
Yeah.
And make sure to hit that subscribe button to all of our podcasts. Go listen to our episode on Talking Trash TV. Wonderful episode with a wonderful host, Bev.
Yes.
And if you haven't listened to the episode that I've done on Take It From,
Yes.
The many tailored hats.
the mini tailored hats,
Yeah.
definitely listen to that. What are y'all doing?
Great episode. And thank you so much, Andre, for having us on.
Thank
Okay,
you.
but wait.
Yes.
It's literally always a pleasure. And we hope to bring back this Tres Amigos
Yes.
again.
Yes. No. Hopefully, we'll be back here.
Yes.
Definitely.
Maybe on the same couch, maybe on a different one.
Right.
But as always, I'm your host, Andre. Another episode, and I will catch y'all next week. Finish those glasses, babes.
Bye, my loves.